There's the MIC.
Not the new
The,
clan, it's all America,
you
it's
know what's the name? No, I mean, I watch a lot of news here. Lots of people don't like this, don't agree with this.
okay.
That's why Biden lost.
Yeah,
Because
but these wars before Biden, overseas, it's always they
it's
have
not,
wars
yeah, but Biden
from the
invested a lot.
60s, always they have wars.
Of
This
course, there
country.
is wars, but there is people behind them. There is the ideas behind that. That's the problem. It's just
Okay, Dr. Suhail with us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
it's
barakatuh. And
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله
Brother Jaweed
وبركاته.
has a question for you, Dr. Suhail. Go ahead, Brother Jaweed, ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Suhail.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
I hope you're doing well with your family.
الحمد لله. Shall I use the same?
Thank you. Brother, I want to make it very brief. I was listening to the news yesterday, and I heard that there was a plot in Syria, in Damascus. They arrested the new government, they arrested some people, and they were trying to blow up the tomb of, Hazrat Zainab, which is the granddaughter of our beloved Prophet, peace be upon him. So my question is that, like these people who was called Daesh, they say, that the people who go there to make ziyarat or dua, they are worshipping the dead. The question that I have is, if right now, unfortunately, in the Muslim world, things are out of control of the Muslims. They bring governments, they topple governments. We are just bystanders. We're just watching what's going on. My question is very brief. My question is this: like, if I know a lot of people, doesn't matter Shia or Sunni, even from Virginia, they go to Saudi Arabia for Umrah or for Hajj. And when they come back, they're so happy, and say they brag. I went there to Medina, to our Prophet's tomb, peace be upon him, and I just make dua for me and my family. Question is, one day if Daesh becomes so strong that they could blow up the tomb of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and claiming, the reason we are blowing this up because people used to come here, and they were worshiping the dead. My question is, what is really going on? Is this Islamic? Because honestly, I don't know if this is Islamic for us to go in front of the tomb of our Prophet and make dua and ask for, for the goodness for ourselves or family. Just if you could just elaborate a little bit about this topic. Thank you.
Okay. طيب بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. I mean, you touched upon a number of things. There is a fiqhi part about visiting the graves. The Prophet ﷺ made it clear that's permissible. It reminds people of the hereafter, etc. Now, the Prophet ﷺ, of course, is special case because that's, part of Umrah and Hajj. People go and visit the Medina and Qabr Rasul ﷺ. The only thing that has to be clear that none of these people who passed away can do anything to you. This is something that matter of aqidah, that there is no wali, even prophet, cannot do anything to you. It's out of our love to the prophet, we go and visit him, but we should keep in mind that everything is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, قُلْ لَا أَمْلِكُ لِنَفْسِي ضَرًّا وَلَا نَفْعًا إِلَّا مَا شاء الله. That I cannot even, I don't have anything in my control. That's Quran says this. As long we keep that in mind, as long we keep in mind that there is nothing that somebody who died can do for you, nothing. But of course, praying, making dua in any place in Mecca, especially in Mecca, and then in Masjid al-Nabawi, because the Masjid al-Nabawi has a special status. It's al-Haram, it's the mosque of the Prophet ﷺ, and it's Aqsa. the ones that have special status. But other than that, I mean, when it comes to Daesh, this is a big story. I mean, this is a combination of two things: a combination of twisted version of Islam, the Salafi understanding of Islam, almost systematically produces Daesh and produces Qaeda. Because it's a chain reaction. I mean, not every Salafi is a terrorist, but every terrorist is a Salafi. Because it's a chain reaction. It starts from this idea that we are the special Jama'ah, the Firqa Najiyah. We are Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. We are this, we are that. We are following the Salaf Salih. We are. That leads where? That leads that you can become a judge on others. So now you put yourself in a position to say, this is a Muslim, that's a kafir. This is a good Muslim, that's a bid'ah. That's a Muslim who is a deviated Muslim, or mubtada, bid'ah. And then the reaction, the sequence continues, which is after that, somebody will say, okay, what should we do with these non-Muslims or these bad Muslims? And then there is somebody who will issue the fatwa, and then somebody will execute. So eventually it's a slippery road, slippery road, because it starts with that idea of self-exoneration and thinking that what you have is the absolute truth and the pure Islam because you're following the Salaf. And then it goes all the way to terrorism. Some people, they stop before terrorism, either because they don't dare to do it, or they are coward or whatever. Or some people will say, no, that's not the right time. You have an Islamic groups who do not commit terrorism, who do not do anything because they say it's not the right time. We still are weak. We don't have enough power. But when we have enough power, then we need to do Ghazu and Sabaya and etc. That's almost majority of Muslims think this way because they watch those movies and series of Khilaf, and they tell them that's the ideal Islamic system and that's the ideal Islamic time. And we need to revive that time when we are strong and when we are capable of going and attacking and conquering lands and futuhat, etc. So that's one part of it. The other part is all of these groups. There is hardly any Islamic group that is not infiltrated yet. We have recently seen Hezbollah, which was considered to be the most secure, probably, Islamic group compared to others. But after Hezbollah, nobody should have any doubt that there is no Islamic group that is not infiltrated. And infiltration can be very bad, especially those groups, especially those violent groups, which they keep using them. And we have seen it. It started from Afghanistan. I mean, it started from Afghanistan when the CIA, and that's public. It's not even, it was not even hidden. It was public that CIA is training and Gulf countries are financing and Arab and other Muslim countries are providing the human resources, the soldiers. That's Afghanistan. And it was all coordinated. It was all coordinated and orchestrated, and the maestro was the CIA itself. I mean, and these are not like analysis or secret. No, these are public information. I mean, it was, signal was given to Arab leaders and Muslim leaders to let jihadists go. Gulf countries were financing directly and indirectly, and CIA was training. And it never stopped. It continued like that. I mean, it's all of these groups that you see, they are combination of the Salafi understanding and intelligence work. نصرة, داعش, قاعدة, فتح this, جيش that, etc. That's all. It's the same recipe. It's a combination of people who have those that Salafi dogma, and it is the intelligence, the Turkish, the American, the Israelis, etc., utilizing them without them, either they knowing or without being aware. But it has that's the terrorism phenomenon. Unfortunately, some people, they deny the first part, and that's not true. No, there are some ideas there. There are some, you can go and find video on YouTube, find videos and find literatures that says that no, Islam was spread with the sword, and there is something called jihad al-talab, and the people who are non-Muslim, this is how they should be treated. No, there is a whole literature there. These are not ideas that coming out of the moon. So when they say no, it's all conspiracy, that's not true. There are some roots in it. But of course, these people are stupid enough and naive enough to allow themselves to be manipulated. And they serve, they think they are serving Islam, and but at the end of the day, they are serving the agendas of people who are financing them and training them. And that's my understanding of what happens in Syria, by the way. This group, just read the history of it. I mean, read the history of the group, read what they have done when they ruled in Idlib, and where this person came and how he was raised and trained and brought to this point. It's all work of intelligence. It's intelligence work.
But you forgot to mention Iran, Dr. Suhail. Iran behind Daesh, behind ISIS. If they destroy this tomb in Damascus, Sayyid Zainab in Damascus, who will get benefit of it? Iran, they have 100,000 soldiers in the Iraqi border with Syria. They are ready to interfere right now, you know.
There is no doubt that when it comes to intelligence, the Iranian politicians are known to be very shrewd politicians, very pragmatic, even as they, I mean, put the image of being religious, but at the end of the day, they are very pragmatic and shrewd. So no, if I didn't mention Iran, it doesn't mean that no, all intelligence. And by the way, the worst enemies on the surface, their intelligence can be cooperating. So I mean, don't be surprised if the Saudi, Iranian, Turkish, Israelis, etc., be working together. Don't even be surprised, because there is something on the surface. There is a politics on the surface, and there is politics in the dark rooms.
Dr. Anousheh, if I may interject, there's been a lot of like posts on social media, WhatsApp, saying Shia this, Sunni this, and there was an attack recently, I believe, in Syria. I forget the details, and people were posting that, oh, these are Iranian operatives, and there's no link to verify the information. There's no article, and what we need to be careful of, whether you're Sunni, Syrian, or Shiite, or Palestinian or Egyptian, is the misinformation. Because suppose if there was an attack, how can we really verify who's behind it? It could be Daesh, and then they say, oh, it was Iranian operatives. It could be Daesh, and then they can say, oh, it was Sunni operatives that attacked this holy site that belongs to Shiites. So, and the reports about, oh yeah, Iran is ready, or how do we know those are true? I just see a lot of misinformation being out there and spread, and it's only dividing Muslims.
I'm sorry to tell you, there is no way to know. In countries, by the way, politics in general, big chunk of it is I use the metaphor of the iceberg. Big chunk of it is not visible. But when it comes to countries that are one, non-democratic, and two, not independent, countries that are not independent, and not democratic. Maybe 95% of the politics is underneath. I mean, you don't see it. So they keep people busy with the news and with the social media, but the real politics happens somewhere else. And it is meant to be like this. I'll give you later an example, but you will never know. Anytime there is an incident in those countries, everybody will jump to the conclusion without gathering any information and blame it or frame it the way they want. Government can do that and blame it on a group they want to attack, they want to go after. That has been done so many times in Muslim countries. The government want to go after a group. The government stage an incident or terrorist incident in order to justify what they are doing. That's happening. Outside forces, they do that. I mean, who exploded the Maraqid, the Shia sacred places in Iraq? Nobody knows, but it was what triggered the civil war. Look at who is benefiting from this. So unfortunately, you will never know. We have seen time and again, anytime a group is accused of something, they come and say these are false accusations, these are unfounded accusations, and then we found out that's not true. We have seen this in Egypt. For 50 years, the Brotherhood kept saying that the attempt to assassinate Abdel Nasser was a joke, was a play, مسرحية. And then when they came to power in Egypt and they thought they're going to stay in power forever, no, they thought actually it happened and it is Ikhwan who has done it, who have done it. I heard this from Dr. Qardawi and Isam al-Aryan, Allah yarhamhum الاثنين. Both of them, they said on TV, they said that yes, it happened, and but it did not come as the instruction did not come from the leadership. For 50 years you tell me that was staged, and then now you tell me that happened. And I have heard, I know many cases like this. Tunisia, Libya, anytime they come out, no, these are unfounded accusations, and it is the government that are fabricating this and that. Very recently, I have my brother who's a lawyer, attorney in Tunisia, and I told him because they're going after some Islamists. And of course, on social media, it's all fabricated. There are nothing, empty files, etc. So I called my brother saying, what did you look at those files? These files are loaded with problems. What do you mean fabricated? I mean, I read them. There are so many things that involve so many violations of the law, and so it's very unfortunate that the truth will never be known in our countries, because no transparency whatsoever, and everybody is lying. And everybody is lying, and they have no guilt feeling. Why? Because we have that sectarian, the chosen people and the Gentile. We all think the same way. We all think that we are the chosen people and the rest are Gentile, and it's okay to lie to them. It's okay to lie to them لمصلحة الجماعة, for the best interests of the group or the movement or whatever. I said I'm going to give you an example of keeping people busy with things so that they can distract them from what is really happening. Nowadays, people the whole day are talking about Ahmed Shara as if he is the central piece of what's going on in Syria. Even though anybody who understands what happened and what's going on knows that Ahmed Shara is a very small detail in the Syrian issue. But keeping people, he met with this. He did. Look at what he's wearing, what his tie, his suit, etc. His speech, his whatever, his meeting, etc. So people are extremely busy with that, and things are being cooked somewhere else. So that's the magic of the media, of twisting things. That something is so small becomes huge, and the real stuff becomes marginalized because they don't want you to focus on it. It's the same thing that happens to Islam when the essence of Islam was marginalized and the small things were blown out of proportion. Twisting.
Thank you so much, brother, for your explanations. I don't want to. Most likely, our other certain brothers in the group also have some questions. So now, from what you mentioned, I understand that, if we are going, to the tomb of the Prophet Muhammad and make dua over there, we are not worshiping the dead. This is basically, I think.
No. As long your belief is, it's out of respect of the Prophet ﷺ, out of love. It's the same like you go, similar, not exactly the same, like if somebody goes to visit the grave of their father or mother, etc., recite Fatiha, make dua, as long there is nothing is done that is wrong and no beliefs that this person, because they was very pious, they can do things for me. Because that's unfortunately the case in some parts of the Muslim world, that people believe that if they go visit those awliya and they can do things for them. That's wrong. That's aqidah. Aqidah has to be pure, that everything is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Actually, brother, I'm 60 years old. I was born in 1963. In my life, for over half a century, I don't know one person, Shia or Sunni, who worships any other deity except Allah Ta'ala. So I really don't understand where all this comes from, Don't you think this could have been very premeditated, so they can bring violence to the Muslim world, that certain people, they are worshipping other deity except for Allah because they are going to this, ziyarat or that? I'm sorry, this is going to be the end of my question. Maybe we can leave it for next week. Thank you.
No, there are some the wrong beliefs. There are people who go to someone so that they can tell them about the future.
Assalamu alaikum.
And there are people who visit those awliya, salihin, and believing that they can do things for them. So that belief is there, unfortunately. Yes, wa alaikum salam.
I have a question about the LA thing.
Yes. What's the question?
Is it possible that Hamas can be?
You're breaking off.
Who's this? Who's this asking this question? He just disappeared.
Okay.
I don't know who was that.
It's one thing, that made me feel very bad, that some people are celebrating those fires. It shows how confused we are as Muslims, and how we cannot distinguish between our opposition to the American policies especially with the support to Israel and what's going on in Gaza, and then feeling good or celebrating that there are people whose houses are being burned or themselves are being burned. That was really showed how backward we are. I mean, and how off we are from Islam. There is nothing in Islam that makes you feel good about the suffering of somebody else. There is nothing like this. Whether we have seen this when people die, we have seen this when people go to the hospital, and then just because they are your political enemy and you just celebrate and become so happy, and that was very bad. How we don't have that maturity of distinguishing where against this policy, we oppose it, you advocate it, you do whatever you can against it and to stop it, but you should never feel good about death or illness or any suffering of a human being.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Yanuchi. How about, there is one exception about criminals. If somebody has really done a crime, then from the fiqh point of view, they need to be punished.
There is a difference between being punished. That's different. That's fair. Yeah. Being punished and shamata, it's feeling good about the suffering of somebody. Now, even if somebody commits a crime, the Islamic perspective should make you hate the crime, not the person. And while you're applying the law, it's still, you never reach the point where it's not a revenge. The law should be applied fairly because somebody had committed a crime and they should pay the price for it. But it's not, it doesn't turn into hating the person or wanting to harm the person. Even the proper philosophy of jail is not, it's just when you put somebody in jail, taking away their freedom, that's the punishment. You don't punish them in the jail by torture or mistreatment or humiliation. There is no basis for this. And Western society has gone way ahead of us when it comes to dealing with criminals. Now, even political opponents, when they are jailed, they are mistreated, they are tortured, they are this and that. They have no dignity, they have no rights, etc. That's very bad. So you're right. Somebody commits a crime, they have to pay. There is a fair trial. The law is applied. If the verdict is execution, it's execution. If the verdict is jail, then it is jail, and that's it. There is no extra things that are done just to vent out anger. No.
Basically, I think what you are saying that I have understood is that taking somebody's life and all that should be in the hands of Allah and His rules, right? If he's a criminal, it has to be proved that he's a criminal and all that. And human beings should not do that. Take law in their hands and start killing
Absolutely.
people on,
Absolutely. No.
on hate.
No.
And even, the whole thing comes down to the same point that Quran says you can have ikhtilaf in your ummah, but no division, no violence.
No. There is no such thing as everybody takes the law in their hands. There is, that becomes jungle. So it has to be fair trial and enough evidence, especially when it comes to the capital punishment. It has to be really beyond any doubt because it cannot be reversed. You can make a mistake with the jail and then you can reimburse the person, even though it's not easy to make up for years in jail, but at least it is reversible. But when it comes to the capital punishment, it has to be really scrutinized beyond any doubt. And has to go through all the levels so that it is proven. Beyond.
Unfortunately, in Pakistan and other countries, Muslims are killing each other on small disagreements.
Well, that's the problem, sister. We have, it doesn't have to reach killing. And, we lost completely the ability to manage differences. If you think about the difference between advanced nations nowadays and nations that are backward, where all Muslim countries are, and with very few exceptions, it's the ability to manage differences. Advanced nations or nations have advanced when they were able to manage their differences and develop the system where these differences are resolved without violence. They are resolved through public education, through civic engagement, through voting, through judiciary, but it settles peacefully. Unfortunately, that's not the case in majority of Muslim countries. I mean, probably Malaysia is one of the few exceptions when you have people of different religion and different ethnicity, different standard, and then still they have a system and they have a prosperous country. Other than that, look at Iraq, you feel so bad. They are all Muslims. They are all Muslims, almost. Just because there is Sunni and Shia and there is Arab and Kurd, they can't just live together. I mean, it's so sad that this religion teaches us very strong manners of listening, of handling disagreement. We have the Prophet ﷺ, our role model, listening to somebody who was basically insulting him, and he did not interrupt him. So Mughira came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, this da'wah that you're doing, if you're doing it just because you want to become king, we can appoint you a king and give it up. If you're doing it just for money, we can make you the richest amongst us and then stop doing what you're doing. And then if you are mad, we can find a way to treat you. Imagine the Prophet ﷺ listening to this and did not interrupt. And not only that, he did not speak before he made sure that the guy has finished. أفرغت يا أبا الوليد? Are you done? He said yes. Prophet ﷺ did not respond the same way. He responded with some verses from the Quran. I mean, I don't think you need another example like that. Nowadays, you find spouses disagreeing on something very minor, or you find brothers or members, sisters, or whatever members in a community who disagree about a political issue, about marginal fiqh issue, etc. And then it becomes like matter of life and death. And people become enemy and they start hating each other. And what is this? What's going on? Take it easy. Listen to understand. We can't. I mean, if I read something, majority of us, we are reading to find out, is this person with us or against us? Where should we classify this person? And if this person is saying what we like, then is with us. If the person is saying no, so it's on the other side, and we need just to attack him. You know, the one who killed Faraj Fouda, assassinated. Faraj Fouda is a secular, but it's not anti-Islamic. I mean, it's a secular thinker in Egypt. The one who assassinated him, he was asked in the court, and even the one who wanted to assassinate Najib Mahfoud, by the way, same. Those people, they were asked, did you read their books? Why you still consider? No, we were told they are Almani. They are secular. They are against Allah. We just heard. You heard it? And you base this decision based on you heard? But unfortunately, that's where we are. I mean, we are not backwards by coincidence, by the way. We earned it.
And we are insisting on it because we are still thinking the same way and behaving the same way and dealing with each other the same way. And that's why we're going nowhere, Ian. We are going nowhere. Same understanding of religion, same mindset, same behavior, same interaction or muamala. And therefore, same results.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Nushi.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I think when there are several underlying issues, problems, and one of them is a level of intellect that Muslims have. For example, I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I got added to a WhatsApp group, and they post things. One of the posts, and this brother, he's I don't know if he's Palestinian or Syrian. I don't know. He believed this post that was sent. Somebody, I think he was just mocking Muslims or Palestinians. And he was saying, oh, look at these birds. I am in Gaza. These birds are flying all over Gaza, and they are blocking the fighter jets, the Israeli fighter jets from bombing Gaza. And, he was showing this picture. It's made up. It's a video that is made up. But unfortunately, people, because of their level of intellect, they believed it. And then so, I fumed about it a little bit, and I said, should I reply? Should I not? So finally I replied and said, yes, the birds are helping Gaza just the same way the birds helped Salah ad-Din conquer Al-Quds, Jerusalem. So I was just mocking the brother because I couldn't, believe the level of stupidity. Are you really that naive to believe something like this? And actually, a couple of people replied back saying, "Oh well, birds fighting better than these armies that are not fighting, for Gaza." So the level of stupidity and intellect, I think that's a major thing. Yeah, that is causing Muslims to be backwards. They don't understand nothing.
Level of intellect, lack of the scientific logic thinking. We are among the few people in the world who can accept a narration that is full of gaps and full of contradiction. We have no problem with that. We can have things that are very contradictory and we put them both together in our minds. And we can have a narration that has many gaps in between, and that's okay. And we accept it. It's that's part of the damage that happened to the Muslim mindset over centuries of dictatorship and dynasty rule, etc., and stagnation, intellectual stagnation. The list, it's a long list of severe damage. Denial is one of them. Justifying failure, blaming on others, and finding excuses for ourselves, and finding somebody to blame, and now put that on the side. Wishful thinking. It's a big disease that you think with your emotions or your dreams. You don't think about reality. I'll give you an example. It's happening, unfortunately, now in Syria, but it happened. I'm going to start with the example in Tunisia in 1987. There was a coup. Now, a coup, like every time you see a regime that was replaced in the Arab world, it's the same movie that we have seen time and again. That when the existing regime becomes a big burden and cannot do the job anymore and has expired, then we have to go through that transition. Let that go, unplug, let them go, and then bring somebody else who has been prepared for some time. And then people will feel happy, things improve a little bit because it could not be worse. And then they wake up and they found nothing has changed. In 1987, there was a coup. Exactly the same that you see in Syria, you see it in everywhere. In Egypt before, in Libya, in Yemen, etc. The person in charge was very sick, very ill, etc., and was out of it. Things were getting into become chaotic, and therefore time has come for replacement. Number one, a public information. This is the public information that the embassy of Italy in Tunisia was doing interviews to explore who can be the next president. And this was mentioned in the Italian parliament. That the Italian was doing it on behalf of the Americans and the Europeans. So they assigned this job for this. So the people would come and an interview, it's an interview for a job. We need the president. So anyway, and they settled for this guy. This guy at that time was prime minister and minister of interior. All his history was torture, corruption, everything. Just because came after that chaotic situation and very difficult situation and said nice words. His first speech was, we're going to establish democracy. There will be no president for life anymore. There will be no injustice in Tunisia moving forward. People were so happy and celebrated, and they believed that somebody with this history can fulfill those promises, can change. That's wishful thinking. I think not what based on the facts, but what I just want to believe this. I want to believe it because it makes me happy. I mean, anybody who reads about Shara and Hayat Tahrir al-Sham in what they did, you find torture, corruption, arresting people, just working with intelligence, all foreign intelligence. You find everything bad there. But yet, people believe that these are the Muslim brothers, and inshallah, things will work out fine. But us believe, we believed before, not the first time. We have done this time and again, Wishful thinking. Then we have another big problem, which is called confirmation bias. What's confirmation bias? I read only what makes me feel good, even if it is not real. That's fine. So I open social media. I want to read for my people, the ones that they say things that makes me really happy. The moment I come across a post or an article or a video or whatever that is saying things that makes me feel not good, even if they're saying the truth, I just don't want to hear it. That's called confirmation bias. And that's the problem, so widespread that almost nobody reads outside their cocoon. Nobody. That's why Muslim societies in general, they are divided into closed groups. They only read to one another, and they read to an author or thinker or leader or whatever who tells them what they want to hear. That's why we can be deceived so easily, because we don't have immune system. We are ready for deception. Anybody who comes tells us a couple of good words, we just believe it. Why? Because wishful thinking and confirmation bias. You know who mastered this? Erdogan. Especially he knows that Erdogan, every week or two, he makes a statement that is meant to be an injection for the Arabs, for the Arab world, and some Muslim world maybe, but especially for the Arabs. He had very strong relationship with Israel, including when the Gaza massacre is happening. Very strong and exchange and everything. And he comes, when you hear their speeches, his speeches, you say this guy is gonna just go and conquer Jerusalem. And I didn't do it. Why? Because we still like that. We like those speeches, even if one, we like those speeches, and two, because he is our man. Because the Islamic groups are dominating the social media. And the Islamists and the Islamic groups, they consider Erdogan as their man. So whatever he says, it has to be promoted and justified, and any mistake has to be marginalized. And people, unfortunately, they fall victims of that. Yeah. So it's a lot of damage. You know that I don't know how do you translate shawda, this superstition? What's the best translation? Of you go to somebody who will tell you, who will fix problems for you, fix your family problems or fix your whatever health problems, etc. Even though they're not doctor, they're not psychiatrist or counselor, nothing. Mushawid, yeah, shawid. You know, this is booming business in many Muslim countries.
Shawada, is it black magic, Dr. Suhail?
No, no.
Black
Maybe.
magic?
Juggling.
Black magic. I mean, people who will basically
Quackers, no.
yes, I mean, we'll tell you about your future. We'll tell you about do this and this and this, and your problems are going to be fixed, etc. So, you know, this is booming business. And in some countries, it's official, and they have an advertisement on newspaper, etc. A lot of people go. So, long way to go. Long way to go. That's why
Well,
kicking
Doctor,
out
if I may
occupation.
add,
That's why ending colonization did not fix our problem. That's why bringing people to Islam, this kind of Islam, did not fix our problems. That's why toppling dictatorship did not fix our problems, because we are dealing with the consequences. We are yet to deal with the root causes, the damage, the severe, deep, compounded damage that happened to the Muslim mind and Muslim personality.
so there is قابلية للاستعمار, قابلية للاستبداد, and there is قابلية للوهم. Wahm superstition or
Absolutely.
something.
Absolutely.
Zan.
Again, yeah, emotional people, they don't want to hear the truth if it is not convenient.
Will it be called Zan, Dr. Ghannouchi? Zan in Quran?
No,
Zan.
Zan is suspicion. But these are the people who claim they have very special power, to the point either they're dealing with jinn, or they can fix your problems, whether these problems are social problems, health problems, etc. And that's shirk. Shirk.
Of
Yeah,
course.
fortune tellers, maybe, in a way.
Fortune tellers. That's pure shirk. Because the Quran says, قُلْ لَا يَعْلَمُ الْغَيْبَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ. Nobody knows the future except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yes. So,
وَلَوْ
Dr.
كُنْتُ أَعْلَمُ الْغَيْبَ لَاسْتَكْثَرْتُ مِنَ الْخَيْرِ. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say, if I know the future, which means that he doesn't. So I don't know how come somebody comes and claim they know.
Yeah. Dr. Ghannouchi, on that, I just remember an incident. I was visiting Malaysia. My khala is there. So in their malls, they have these machines in which you put your hand, palm, and it reads. So, and they're all wearing hijab. So, you know, I'm very outspoken. So I told one of them, no, this is not allowed. This is allowed. And they're so good, mashallah. They just turned away and ran, the girls. They were doing it. So I'm just saying, you know, I mean, this is in Malaysia. Palm reading in the machine. They put your.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's all comes back to what? It all comes back to the lack of understanding of our religion and the lack of thirst for knowledge. We lost that thirst for knowledge. So we have that feeling of being self-sufficient. Satisfied with what we have. فرحوا بما لديهم من العلم. That's it. Whatever I know is enough. So it's twofold. It's one, it's the religion itself. This religion that motivates people, inspires them to think and to read and to learn and to etc. And it gives them a mission and purpose in life, so that they cannot be distracted with these stupid things, and give them a guidance and give them a reference for decision making and for deciding between what is right and wrong. It's an amazing religion. And then we took that version that is so superficial and rigid. And then on the other side is al-ma'rifah, knowledge. Why all of these problems are happening? Because we lost that, what Rasul calls it, al-hikmah dallatul mu'min. Wisdom is the lost property of a believer. If you are a true believer, you should be always on the look for truth, on the look for wisdom. Never take it for granted. Never allow yourself to be deceived by anybody. إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا. Scrutinize, ascertain the truth, double check it. People are not angels, regardless. Even if they are very pious, you still have to, don't take anything for granted. They tell you this is haram or that's halal, ask for the evidence. They tell you this happened, ask for the evidence. We have a whole page in Quran, in Surah An-Nur, and the major incident in the seerah of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to teach us the hard way how to handle information, how to handle it. From the time somebody comes to you with information, they tell you this person is bad, did this and this. I say, no, you're lying. That's what Quran says. لولا إذ سمعتموه ظن المؤمنون والمؤمنات بأنفسهم خيرا وقالوا هذا إفك مبين. Go away, you're lying. We are better than this. No, this is okay. This is happening. You insist. Okay, give me the evidence. When, where, how, who are the witnesses, etc. Grill them with questions so that next time they think million times before coming to you with an information that is not solid. And then even after that, and it turns out that it is true. That information is true. That's it. You ascertain that it's true. You may want to keep it for yourself. If there is no benefit in spreading it or sharing it, just keep it for yourself.
Dr. Anushi, I have a question. You touched on it earlier a little bit regarding the fires in Los Angeles. If you can, I'm going to ask the question differently, and with the a little bit of time left, if you can give us an answer, that would be great. How do we differentiate between, and this is not my question, someone asked me to ask the question. So how do you differentiate from, Allah mentions in the Quran that He has punished a lot of nations, like Qawm Nuh, alayhi salam. How do you differentiate an occurrence like that from punishment from Allah, like He has punished previous nations?
Number one, we don't know, and we will never know. Number two, if this happened to us and to any place, first of all, we have to rule out any feeling good or feeling or happy or celebrated. If it happens to you, anything bad, you may think that it might be a punishment. So istighfar is the right thing to do, to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you, and then pray for help. And then, but we will never know until the day of judgment whether something was a test, ibtila, whether it is iqab or punishment, whether it is. All what we need to focus on is why it happened and what can we do about it to solve it. That applies to any problems you face in life or any calamity. Just this fire, why it happened, what went wrong, and that's what they're doing. That's what all advanced nations they do. Every time something goes wrong, they do a whole investigation, and who is accountable, where things went wrong, and who failed to do what they're supposed to do, and what are the lessons learned. That's the proper approach from Islamic perspective. And we will never know the final definitive answer, but we have to say if it is ibtila. In all cases, you need to meet that with patience, with repentance to Allah, for number one, to seek forgiveness for any sins that you committed, that this might be the punishment for it. And number two, to seek help from Allah to deal with it. But to always rush to the conclusion, I mean, that this fire, Allah is punishing the Americans, etc. So if it happens tomorrow to Muslims, what are you going to say? Because that's why I said people are okay with things that are inconsistent. They can use double measures, double standards. They have no problem with it. If you're going to apply this, then you're going to apply it all the time. But nobody is in a position to say for sure that what happened is a punishment from Allah. It's only find out the causes and then fix them. That's the proper attitude, proper approach. طيب جزاكم الله خيرا.
Jazakallah.
See you إن
Thank
شاء
you.
الله.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
جزاك الله خير دكتور. السلام عليكم.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.